Welcome to Power Fridays Live, the channel that aims to make a difference in the world through transformation, spiritual growth, and for entrepreneurs. Our vision is to empower individuals to live their lives with purpose and to make a positive impact on the world. We believe that power and purpose are the driving forces behind success and fulfillment in both personal and professional life. Through our broadcast, we discuss business strategies and techniques that can help entrepreneurs achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. We believe that through sharing knowledge and experience, we can empower each other to succeed and make a difference in the world. Now here's our host, Janelle Pulley.
Hi, welcome to Power Fridays Live. I'm your host, Janelle Pulley, and I'm excited to have with us this evening Dave Lewis, the 501c8 guy. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you, Dave. Welcome to Power Fridays Live. How are you doing this evening?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Janelle.
Oh, you're very welcome. I am so stoked about this conversation. We are having the Legacy of Love series here in Power Fridays Live here in the month of February. And what better way to share a legacy of love than through the vehicle in what you do and how you serve the community. So thank you so much. I'm thanking you in advance. People understand why I'm thanking you at towards the end of the broadcast, and we want you to stay to the very, very end because Dave has a lot of information that we're sharing today. And Dave, we always kick off a Power Fridays Live with sharing who you are. Like, where did you grow up? And tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to this work.
Okay. Well, I am someone that, like, I'm a demand for expansion and enrichment and growth in communities, right? And it got started at an early age. I grew up in Neptune, New Jersey. Okay. Many of my Neptune folks are down in Atlanta currently. They've migrated there, right? And in that town, it was much like, most other places. It had its ups and downs and togetherness and separateness all at the same time. We used to have to up the hill and down the hill, and it was like a competition and all that, right? Between where people lived and whatnot. And, I remember, I remember bike rides and, they were it was a heavy competition. So it was racing bikes and popping wheelies on on bikes and playing basketball and football games. I remember playing football games with my best friend, just me and him, nobody else out there. It was like, and the crowd goes wild. We did that kind of stuff to keep ourselves occupied, boxing in the basement. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff, And then fast forward, I wasn't really a popular kind of guy really in high school and junior high. Well, in high school I was, but in the beginning of junior high school and prior to that, not so much. Didn't really stand out, trying to find my way, figure out who I was, right? And then towards the end of junior high school, it started to blossom. I was playing bitty basketball and started to, kind of open myself up a little bit and get to know more people. And before you know it, I started to become a little bit more popular, and that just kept exceeding all the way through high school. I didn't get to play much and make regular games. I had the talent to do so, but they had people more talented or more seasoned than me, one or the other. But I held my own. I made some memories on that practice field I'll never forget, and the people who were there, they'll never forget either. They was like, "Hey, how do he hit you like that?" Right up, it ain't nothing. What? So I wasn't the biggest guy back then, and stuff like that. And then fast forward, thinking about all kinds of things that I went through. I remember something that I wanted really, really bad, and I asked for it and was told no. And I think that is what sparked. Like something inside of me said, well, no, you're not going to tell me what I can't have. I'm going to get it. And then I ended up, I don't know, I think I was like 10 years old, and I ended up cutting grass and doing odd jobs to raise the money to get this, what we called a box back then. Some people call it a boom box. And I had to have it. It was silver. It was a perfect color. It had the lights that moved. And And I would put out cassette tapes. People on here probably don't even know what cassette tapes are, but
Yes.
the little device you put it in there and it plays music.
Right.
So, oh man, those are fun times.
And then, of course, you held it on your
Of
right
course,
there next to your
right up
ear. We
there.
didn't have headphones.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
great.
yep, absolutely.
Oh, great. Well, I'm so glad that that moment in time helps earmark your life and trajectory forward because, it leads you to where you are today and how you do to help people get what they want in life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I think back, like, where did the love for community come from? Like, I had to really think about it. And it wasn't until this podcast where I really got that, okay, that started back when I was in the Scouts,
Oh,
the Boy
cool.
Scouts of America, former Boy Scouts of America. And I made it all the way to the rank of life. And one of the prerequisites to make it to that rank, which is just the rank just before Eagle Scout, which is the top, was you had to be heavily involved in community and
Mm.
do community projects and stuff like that. And I remembered I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And so I think that was the initial seed, if you will, that brought me to where I am today at this point, come full circle and really just wanting to impact community.
Oh, wonderful. Well, great. Thank you so much for being there. And of course, we've heard of 501c3s, and I'm like, 501c8 guy. I'm like, what is that? I was like, we have to talk about it because I'm going to learn in this process about what it is that you do for families and do for the community.
Mhm.
And so, can you share a little bit more about that with us today?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I'm going to have this video play, and it's just going to paint a little bit of a picture, and then I'll come back and elaborate a little bit further. Is that okay?
That would be great. Thanks.
All right. Excellent.
Have you ever heard of a 501c8 entity? Don't worry, 98% of people haven't either. While many of us are familiar with 501c3s, such as churches, schools, and charitable organizations, the 3 in 501c3 is just one type of not-for-profit. In fact, there are 29 different types, ranging from 501c1 to 501c29. Let me explain. A 501c1 entity is a not-for-profit bank, commonly known as a federal credit union. Since they're not-for-profit, members enjoy lower fees, better interest rates, and easier loan access. Many don't realize that credit unions offer these benefits because, to maintain their tax-exempt status, they must provide certain programs. Take Navy Federal Credit Union, for example. They're great, but their exclusive benefits are a requirement for their tax exemption. Now, we're not in banking, nor do we deal with credit unions. But this concept also applies to the life insurance industry. The 501c8 Impact Initiative aims to educate people about 501c8 not-for-profit life insurance companies. Because 501c8 entities are not-for-profit, they're significantly more affordable and offer a long list of free programs for their members. Many companies spend tens of millions of dollars on advertising, and that cost is passed on to the consumer. But 501c8 entities don't, resulting in lower premiums for policyholders. Like credit unions, 501c8 life insurance companies must provide exclusive benefits to their members, regardless of the policy amount. A member is a member, and they get access to the programs. For instance, they offer care grants and community grants, allowing members to apply for funds to support local initiatives like food drives, clothing donations, backpack distributions, or even community beautification projects. They have a deals and discount club that gives members access to thousands of discounts on everyday purchases like shopping, electronics, rental cars, hotels, flights, movies, shows, food, etc. There are literally thousands of discounts available. They write people's wills for free. They have a tuition reimbursement program, they offer scholarships, and much more. Additionally, there's an online learning program with hundreds of courses covering a wide range of topics, from cybersecurity to project management. For those with children and grandchildren, they have a members-only exclusive scholarship program where hundreds of scholarships are given away annually so your family doesn't have to compete with everyone else. They provide programs like parental legacy, family fund grants, and more. As you see, there's a significant difference between the price of something and the value of it. 501c8 entities provide more than just a death benefit, and the 501c8 Impact Initiative's primary goal is to raise awareness so people can do more for their family and communities. Whether someone has life insurance already or not, the 501c8 Impact Initiative can connect you with our licensed third-party life insurance collaborative to give you more information on how you can access these resources. No pressure, and it's 100% a free consultation, but book 15 minutes to chat. 501c8 entities can often help people save money, or some choose to get additional insurance to access the programs and benefits. If you currently don't have insurance outside of a job, we definitely want to chat because your life insurance can and should be more than just a death benefit.
Well, there you go.
Oh, wow. I'm excited to hear
So,
more about that.
yeah, I mean, this concept has been around for over 140 years.
Wow. Talk about legacy.
Oh man. And but less than 1% of the country knows about this. So what makes this unique is the fact that they have all these resources. It's, like they said in the clip, when you do business with a credit union, for obvious reasons, we were taught to do things with credit unions or
Yes.
form a relationship with credit unions. We believe also it's important for every adult to form a relationship with a fraternal benefit society, which is what a 501c8 is. And the reason is for the same purpose as being with a credit union. You get all kinds of resources with a credit union. Great rates, the best mortgage rates, right? You buy first time home buyer, car, we were taught all this stuff. Well, you get
Yes.
a similar experience when you're a member of a fraternal benefit society. And what makes you a member? Well, what makes you a member of that credit union? You have to be a member. And the only way you can be a member is to have what? An account there.
Well, actually, yes, and I'm so happy because I bought one of my cars through a credit union because my cousin worked at the credit union, and because
Mhm.
she was a member, then she could help make me become a member, and then I got a really great rate. I got turned down at the dealership, and then I went to her. She's like, "Oh yeah, you can do it. We can do that for you." And then I was like, "Thank God I was able to get a car because I went through the credit union." And
Right.
of course, one of the credit unions that was in your video I'm a member of as well because my dad was a veteran and my
Okay.
husband's father was a veteran and they served in the military, and so we're a member of the Navy Federal as a result of that,
Mhm.
and that being and my mortgage is with Navy, and I was like, I had no idea he was working on that, and I was like, wait, what do you mean we're getting 100% and a great interest rate
Right.
because our dad served in the military, so yeah.
Absolutely. So it's the same kind of experience with the 501c8. The only way that you can access those benefits, those types of benefits, is you have to be a member. So you have to have an account there. What does that look like? Well, that looks like you either have a temporary policy, a permanent policy, or an accidental. It doesn't matter. It's all personal preference. We always go over the 5 major needs of why people look at stuff like this in the first place. The 5 reasons are death, because it's not free to die. It just isn't. Okay.
Never put
Um,
that way, yes.
yeah, I mean, it's what
It
it is,
isn't.
right?
Mhm.
Income replacement, because if somebody passes away, their income goes along with it. And if it's a household, that household is going to feel that. So you need to
Yes.
replace your income, right? For however long you want to replace your income. And then, of course, there's mortgage protection. Now, people buy homes all the time who can afford them and stuff like that. And one of the first things they get hit with is a barrage of letters about protecting their home. Well, of course they want to protect their home, but how nice would it be to have an expert to speak with, connected to the realtor that you were connected to, because we're forming relationships and alliances with realtors all the time and always looking for that.
Oh.
So hint, hint, anybody who's a realtor, you want to contact me, let's talk. But basically, these people want to protect their homes. Well, they want to make sure that if they pass away, when they pass away, one or two things: either the house is completely paid for and their family doesn't have to worry about, oh my God, what are we going to do? Or that mortgage is covered for several years so they can figure out what they want to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, oftentimes people want to leave specific amounts of money. Maybe you want to leave a certain amount of money with your church or your fraternity or sorority or whatever organization, or your children or whatever, right? Those are called
Mm-hmm.
endowments. So there's ways to do that. And then there are ways that people can save and create legacies, both for children, grandchildren, youth, and adults. And that money that's saved is tax-free, and the money is paid back for the rest of their life at a certain point. It could be 45, it could be 55, 65, whatever's chosen, whatever works best for the situation. But us being educated about these things is what's so powerful, because like I said, less than 1% of the country knows about them. Now, some of those vehicles that I mentioned, like the savings and so forth, they may not necessarily be tied into a 501c8, but because of the industry that I work within and being a broker, I have access to all of these different things. And so we're able to take a full educational approach and present the full spectrum to people.
Oh, wow. That's really great. And I'm very excited to hear that, because you hear different companies or different people saying, hey, you can be your own bank. But with what you just shared, you can establish yourself in such a way to where you are funding, you're helping your family, you're creating that legacy to help your family where, your loved one passes away, they don't have to sell the house,
Right.
and they can keep it for or pay it off, and or okay, we want to buy another house and pay this one off and get another one, so you have options. So that's what I
Absolutely.
love about what you just shared. It gives a person options.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's interesting. I think about what are probably some of the biggest challenges that we faced in communities. And I'm going to share my screen for a second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to share my screen again because there's something I
Okay.
want to show you. I was doing some research the other day and I said, wow, this just makes so much sense. Let me find it here.
Yeah, and then whenever you leave that policy for your loved one, and if you were to pass away, and I know that there's some policies out there for living benefits as well,
Mm-hmm.
where if it's American Heart Month, February is American Heart Month. So if something were to happen to your heart and heart attack or something, and chronic illness or critical illness, the company pays you, and for that. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about, what is plaguing our communities?
Hmm.
Crime. And
Yes,
then I
very.
said, okay, well, let's take a logical approach for a moment. Yeah, there's lots of emotions tied to it, right? But, and I was a victim of it myself, and I'll go into that in a minute. But what are the social root causes of crime? Inequality,
Mhm.
not sharing power, lack of support to families and neighborhoods, real or perceived inaccessibility to services, lack of leadership in communities, low value placed on children and individual well being, the overexposure to television as a means of recreation. And I like to include the overexposure of social media and all the negative effects of that.
Yes.
Right? We get hit
Yes.
all the time with all kinds of different images. One of those images is what we see on the news all the time, and we're
Yes.
familiar with these images. I mean, come on, I'm gonna share this again. Like, look at this. Tell me if these don't look familiar or resonate. I mean, I think everybody can feel what this is. I mean, when you see this, and I scroll through, we've all seen these types of images.
Yes.
Crime scenes, mug shots, handcuffs, you know, all kinds of things, right?
Yes.
And I can't help but wonder what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to impact this? Like, knowing that this stuff is happening and the impact of it is not enough. Like,
Right.
something's got to shift, and so we've got to be present to what's going on and not be so distracted. These things are distractions. Many of them
Yes.
are purposeful distractions,
Yes.
right? By design. So when you start to think about what's possible for community, you start to speculate a little bit. Just close your eyes and imagine for a moment what it's like to have a community that looks out for one another in such a way that the crime drops. Because let's face it, people try to escape their reality, right? I mean, they
Ye-
really, really try to escape their reality in a bunch of different ways.
Oh, yes.
Drugs, alcohol abuse, um, you know, dangerous activities, you know, risky things, what have you, especially children nowadays. They're doing things for attention. It's a big cry out for attention, but there's something going on at home,
Right.
something happening there, right? And then you mix all of that in with the dynamic of, all this crime and hatred, and I'm hating on you because you got something that I want, and I'm gonna take it, right? And
And
vice versa. But just
right. Instead of being
imagine,
like your
well,
10-year-old self saying, "Hey, I'm
yeah,
going to go out and work hard for it and get what I want." Yeah.
right. But just imagine if everyone in your
Everyone.
neighborhood had the beautiful home that they always wanted, drove whatever dream car it was, and can vacation where they want, when they want. Everything is on their terms. Then guess what? I don't have to hate on you, and you don't have to hate on me, and neither one of us want to escape our reality because we love it, right? We love our reality. So guess what?
Exactly.
Those that promote all those different negative things in our community, like, it's all supply and demand. After a while, there's no demand for it. And when there's no demand, what happens in business? Your business crashes. You got to find something else to do, right?
Right.
Or reinvent yourself. You can't force people to do those negative things if they don't have a desire to do so. So
Exactly.
501c8s is a kind of a doorway into start to making change in the community without what I like to call politics. Not politics, politics, right?
Yes.
So it's literally an opportunity to start to impact your community. Now think about this. If you got a grant for $200, right? And that doesn't sound like a lot of money. That may buy a lot of book bags. That might be, a lot of supplies for children or whatever the case may be, or some uniforms, whatever the case may be, sporting supplies for the local team, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what if 1,000 people did that?
Right.
Now you start to take advantage of that African concept called Ujima, right?
Hmm.
Cooperative economics.
Yes. That's true
Okay.
cooperative economics.
You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? So now what happens when you start adding zeros to that? You get a couple $1,000s a quarter, and you can host a one-day volunteer activity event. And let's say a group of you wants to impact the homeless in your local community. You want to obliterate it. Well, what are some ways that you can do that? What do they need? Well, they need shelter for sure, but what else do they need? They need, socks, they need coats and hats and stuff like that. And eventually housing, right?
Right. The
So,
basic needs that any person has. Yes.
right. And believe it or not, it's expensive to live. It just is.
Right. It's unaffordable housing now. It's an unaffordable housing market.
Unaffordable housing, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if enough people get together
Yes.
and really start to strategize and say, okay, well, you can't do the same event on like everybody can't do the same event on one day. Like you can't raise 20, 30, $40,000, $1 million and do this one big thing. No, but you can spread it out over time and
Mhm.
make that impact. And that's huge. And again, like I said, less than 1% of the people in this country know about this.
Wow.
All
Well,
right.
we're going to definitely make this available. And if you are watching this and you find something of value, please share it. with someone that you know that needs to hear what you're sharing, Dave, at this moment. And there's ways to reach out to you and learn more about the 501c8 opportunity to get involved. So, who is eligible for the to participate, become a member in the 501c8?
18 to 80.
18 years old to 80.
Yep. And even younger than that, the parent could be the owner. So really from age 0 up.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
oh, great.
Absolutely. Now,
And
one other
so,
thing I wanted to share, because remember how I talked about there are ways to really start to establish family legacy. See, what we just got finished talking about was how to impact your community and also take care of, the 5 areas that are important, right? Because I don't have to convince people the need for, this thing called coverage, right? We
right.
all know we need it, just like we all know we need to brush our teeth every day. Otherwise, we got yuck mouth. We already know that. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So
And you
there's
need
no
air to breathe. Yes.
and breathe, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to convince or persuade anybody to do anything. At
Yes.
best, what I do is I'll ask you some questions to get you to really think about your present situation and what's most important to you. That's it. That's it. Most I'll do. But there is something very specific I'm going to share with you about children, right? Specifically. But before I go there, I want to kind of paint a little bit more of a historical context because, a mentor of mine years ago told me and taught me success. I'm not sorry, not success. History leaves clues.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go to 1995 and see that there was a vehicle that was created that may or may not back then have been used in the way that I'm about to share with you. But it's a way to start to establish legacy from generation to generation to generation, starting with the youngest child and going from there. And I'm going to get into this in a second. Also, history leaves clues as far back as 1780.
What was
Like we're
happening
talking
in
like,
1780?
yeah, we're talking like back in early Roman times. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like if these soldiers were fortunate enough to survive the wars that they fought in and battles and all that, a stipend was set aside for them so they could live out the rest of their life with dignity and honor. And that same thing is what's available to adults 40 plus years old today.
Really?
It's called an annuity. Okay? See, a lot
Yeah.
of people don't, history leaves clues. And if we just use what worked in history, we'd be better off. Let me give you some historical context here. I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay. Yeah,
And
well, annuity, and a lot of people, like, I was thinking pension whenever you asked the question. It's like, well, that sounds like a pension plan to me, but that's if of course you have to be alive to get it in that regard too as well. And even
exactly.
with my dad having passed away, he
Mhm.
left an annuity for my mom, so
Mhm.
she still has opportunity to get a check. It wasn't as much as the check that he was getting, but it was
Right.
something.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing income, especially when you need it most,
Exactly. This.
So
Mhm.
yeah, no, please finish your thought.
Well, especially whenever someone passes away, when their money is no longer in your household,
Right.
then you can't replace the person, but to have the money, it doesn't replace the person, but it does continue with what that person financial obligations were taken care of. So that's
Absolutely.
very important to think about.
Absolutely. Well said. So now talking about history, right? Look at this for a moment. Let me stop this. Okay.
This is
So
Investopedia. Yes.
when you think of it, yeah, this is just a PDF, but it's from Investopedia and anybody can look at this, but I want us to look at this for a moment. We have different generations have gone through market crashes, right? Stock market crashes. I mean, as early as 1637 from the Dutch tulip bulb market bubble, right? Known as tulip mania. Many,
Oh.
many of you may have heard that term in the movie Wall Street when Gordon Gekko was talking about it. I think he talked about it in Wall Street too. one of my favorite movies. Both of those are. And then the financial crisis of 1791 to 1792 was the first U.S. stock market crash, preceded by the crisis of 1772, which occurred in the 13 colonies. Now, fast forward a little bit more modern, October 19th, 1987. Okay.
Wow. I remember that.
I do too.
I was,
Black
I was,
Monday. People jumped out windows, all kinds of stuff.
yes, I
Right?
was
It
alive
was
in
real. You know,
1900s. Yeah.
yeah, it was like a movie,
Yeah.
you know, and they've made movies about it since then, but it was crazy. It was one of the largest one-day stock market declines in history. And then even more recent, 2020, right? The coronavirus stock market crash. Now, what's common in this is there were people who had their money directly tied into the market
Mm-hmm.
versus indirectly. I'll expand on that in a minute. Because their money was tied directly into the market, when the market crashed, it went boom. So went their money.
Wow.
And they had been saving this money for who knows how long. And the moment that that crash took place and they lost that money, they don't have the 20 plus years needed to grow again.
Right.
So
Yeah.
again, history leaves clues, both positively and negatively, like
Yes.
what to avoid, right?
Right. Because my 401k plummeted in 2022.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also, I should say instead of
Uh-huh.
two, because in 2020, 21, 22, it's like, oh, what happened to my 401k money? Now I'm in the rebuilding stage. And of
Right.
course, we know the rule that helps your money double and how many years it takes for that, depending on the
Exactly.
interest rate.
Exactly. Now here's the thing though. We are in a kind of a weird place, right? The market has been up for 10 plus years,
Hmm.
right? Consistently. But we're coming up on an election year, and I can't predict anything, but it's a matter of time before the market crashes. Are you prepared? Like if it crashes, then what? If
And
your money's
so,
in the 401k or any
hmm
of those other vehicles, right? What do we put our money in? We put our money in 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, all these different things, right? But they're tied directly to the market.
and savings accounts and
Savings
banks.
accounts, banks, all that, right? If you had your money in a different type of vehicle where, yeah, there might be a cap on your upside, but there's no drop, like there's a flat bottom. You can't lose anything on the downside. So if the market crashes, you don't lose anything. You just kind of stay where you're at. How cool would that be?
To be stable, it would be amazing to be
Yeah,
awesome. Not jumping out of a window. It's like, oh, I can't live the next 10 years.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
the reason I brought that up is because it's a perfect segue into what I'm going to show and share next. First, I'm going to start with the youth, and then you give a couple of examples, right? And
Okay.
then after that, we'll kind of wrap up at that point because, for time's sakes, we won't get into the examples for the adults, but the same thing could be done for adults 40 plus. Okay.
Right. And, we are coming up on time, Dave. So,
Mhm.
I do, want to definitely have a part two,
Okay.
if all, and then of course, let people know, how they would get to reach you in reference to that as well. So
Awesome.
you can share this real quickly, and I'll put
Yeah. Yeah.
your
No
website
problem.
available so that people can reach out to you directly and find out more.
Perfect. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just share this real quick and we'll be done in just a few seconds. I just want to show a quick example. All right.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks so much for being here and thanks for sharing the example. Thank you guys for watching. And you definitely want to communicate with Dave and find out more about this awesome program. So he's going to give us an illustration now and explain what he's talking about. So
All
let's do
right. So
it.
what I'm sharing is what happens. Let's say we're going to call this newborn child, right?
Okay.
All right. This is just an example. And let's say the child is, 0 years old. Okay.
Okay. So that
Now-
part of your screen's not showing us to
oh,
us
it's
now.
not. Okay, hold on
No.
a second. Let me go back. I want to make sure you can see this. Oh, that's the wrong part. Okay, hold on. Let me stop the screen. Go back. Share the screen and get right into it. Here we go. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
And
All right. Excellent. So what this is a new legacy head start, right? So say the person lives in I don't know. Let's go with Jersey for now. Somebody's in Jersey, and we're going to look and see, hey, what can we do to impact that family, right? Let's say maybe they already picked up a 501c8 membership, right?
mhm.
And Mr. Child, right? We're just going to, going to go with that. We're looking at this and saying, hey, we want to make sure, because the market is the S&P 500, right? So we don't know what it's going to do.
Right.
We don't know what the Barclays is going to do. These are different markets, right? So we don't know what that's going to look like. So we're going to leave that off, and we're going to look and see and say, what do we want to accomplish here? Well, the first thing we want to accomplish is we want to solve for maximum accumulation, right? The goal of this is to raise as much money as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to make this, for this example, we're going to say age 65, right? And it's going to go for the rest of their life. And the most life expectancy is at least 100 years old, and makes this 35. So it equals out to 100, right? But then we're going to look and say, okay, well, how much money are we going to set aside for this newborn, right? So we're going to say, okay, let's set aside $200, right? We're going to set aside $200 a month for this newborn, and watch what happens. $200 is $2,400 a year, right?
Right.
Okay. Now watch this.
We're calculating the results. Drum roll,
Yep.
please.
Here we go. Now, that newborn starts off with $867,000 as a death benefit, right? Well, watch
Yes.
what happens as that newborn grows.
Gets older and older. What's that? $1 million by what age?
41.
41 have access to $1 million at age 41.
Now that's the death benefit, but they have access to this, which is
Oh,
$405,000. That's the
almost $500,000. That's
right.
even better.
Okay. Now the adult that picked this up, guess whose money this is? The adult. That's your money.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now, if you wanted to assign this over to your child later on, you could, and they could pick up the
Yes.
payments and keep going, no problem. But look at the payout for the rest of their life at age 66.
Wow. That's
For
a
the rest of
year.
their life.
That's how much? $200,000
Over $200,000 a
income
year.
a
Income.
year.
A year.
Tax-free.
Tax-free.
Tax-free income. Awesome.
Okay. You
Yes.
see? And then on top of that, right?
Mhm.
Any time along the lines, like money can be borrowed from here and it just gets subtracted from here.
And
No interest. You don't have to pay it back. None of that stuff.
so let me get this clear for those in the back. Okay. You put in $200 a month for your
$200 a
child,
month, $2,400 a year.
$2,400 a year
Mm-hmm.
when they're up to 1 years old. Okay. And then
Yep.
you have access to this cash value. In 40 years, you have access to almost $500,000, but then you would have an income of $200,000, a six-figure income tax-free
Yep.
for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Awesome.
And you could adjust this, like, depending on when you wanted the payments to start, you can adjust it, but just know it's going to be less money the younger the less time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Exactly.
the concepts are the same. And when you do the math, these numbers are less than this number.
Wow. Amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the concept. But that's what, and I can stop sharing my screen because I know we're pressed for time. But that is,
That's the beauty of
yeah,
compounding interest and
yes,
the rule of
that's
72
it.
in full effect and all of that good stuff.
And this
Um,
could be done for adults, like I said, 40 plus, instead of putting all your money in those other vehicles, figure out if you want to move it and switch it to something like this as a lump sum and then keep paying,
yes,
or just start and keep paying, like start something high and keep paying, because you're just basically insuring your money. You're protecting it.
exactly. And it's a savings vehicle too, in a sense too. If you're
Right.
able to save that $200 a month for that many years, hey, to know that the outcome is going to be greater, that's what you want. It's
Right.
especially with inflation. It looks like, and I'm not saying that it is, but it looks like you're pretty much keeping up with inflation
Mm-hmm.
with with that product,
Yep.
with that vehicle. So Dave,
Absolutely.
you've opened my eyes. I'm not what they say, once was blind, but now I see.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I thank you so much for sharing this and just giving us a little taste. But you're going to have to come back for a part two, and let us know more about impacting communities. And there's a couple of ways to reach you: your IG, your Instagram, each one help one.
That's right.
Okay, and then of course on Facebook, DL Millionaire for Dave
Yep.
Lewis Millionaire.
Yep.
So that's how we can continuously reach you and find out more about this awesome opportunity.
And
With you,
appointments can be set by just, that 501c8.org/Dave Lewis. Just schedule an appointment.
well, I'm ready to get started right now. As soon as we end this call, let's get going. I was like, oh my gosh, I got a little one. I want to pass away and have her be a wealthy woman and leave my legacy.
No doubt.
Okay. And thank you so much for sharing this information, sharing with us about community, about your and touching on your story and what brought you, to helping community and helping families. This is a game changer. This is
Absolutely.
a true game changer. So, as we always say here on Power Fridays Live, be, do, and have the greatness that you desire, because the greatness is in you. And Dave, the greatness is definitely in you. And thank you so much for being here and sharing this information. And please do catch us on the replay. Please, if you have any questions or any concerns, reach out to Dave directly. He will be available to you. Just get on his calendar. So I appreciate your time. I know you could be anywhere in the world at this moment, but I'm so glad that you shared with us this game changer, for a true legacy of love. This would be the best love letter that I would want to leave to my family.
Absolutely.
So thank you so
Absolutely.
much. You
Thank you for having me.
have a great weekend, everyone. Have a blessed one. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Enjoy. Have a
everybody.
great weekend. Bye bye.